going on, you guys? I apologize for being MIA for a while. As you can clearly see, once again, I have changed location. I have moved. I'm in a brand new apartment, so it's been, the last 2 weeks of just moving shit and setting everything up. But, if it makes you guys feel any better, now I got movie stuff in the background. You're not staring at a blank wall anymore. But yeah, now that I am situated, now that I am moved in, it's time to finally talk movies again with you guys. So Gran Turismo is a new biopic sports movie starring David Harbour, Orlando Bloom. Who was the other guy? Archie Medekwe. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but he plays the main character in this movie. This movie revolves around the remarkable true story of Jen Martinborough. He was this gamer. He was obsessed with the Gran Turismo games. He was really good at those racing games. Orlando Bloom, his goal is to try to get these younger kids, the younger generation who's obsessed with these games, trying to get them more invested in professional race car driving. So his idea is to hold this competition, find these insane gamers at this Gran Turismo game, bring them in, have David Harbour coach them, train them, and equip them to become race car drivers. And it shows how Jen Martinborough overcame all those odds to become an actual race car driver. Get into what works in this movie. Okay, Jen Martinborough, it was very easy to get behind his character. I mean, he's a nice guy. He loves what he does. He clearly has a fascination with racing and with the gaming behind it and what he does. But you quickly sympathize with him. I mean, he's constantly dealing with his father, berating him. It's like, you need to get a real job, you need to get a real career, but he's not entirely sure where his life should be going, what he wants to do. He kind of feels like this is his calling. You kind of connect with him in that sense. He kind of feels like one of those younger kids that just doesn't know what to do with his life, and he kind of has this passion, this drive that he likes doing, but people are constantly telling him, it's like, you will never be able to pursue anything professionally like that. Then the opportunity comes his way, and you are easily rooting for him to get it because you know that's what he should be doing. It's an easy character to relate for. It's an easy storyline to get behind because it kind of, in a way, it relates to people who maybe have these big dreams that are impossible to achieve, or you feel like they're impossible to achieve because you're not having the right connections, you're not going about it in the most traditional way. You feel like, in a way, the kid's found a way to cheat the system and you're rooting for him to do so. Also, I love the rest of the cast around him. Orlando Bloom, I really liked his character in the sense that he wants to take what is essentially a dying sport, not necessarily a dying sport, but one that has severely fallen in popularity. He's like, I need to find a way to keep it going, and the only way to keep it going is to get this younger generation back into it. So it's like, what's the younger generation into? They're into gaming, they're into doing things from their chair. It's like, all right, let's take them, let's put them in the driver's seat, let's get them into it, and that will get a new wave of generation not only into being a fan of the sport, but to wanting to be in the sport itself. I thought that was unique because that really, I think, speaks volumes to what the sports life is now. It's like, with technology really, consuming so much of the world and younger audiences maybe not being as invested in sports nowadays, in order to get them into that point, sports constantly have to be finding ways to evolve themselves. I also really like David Harbour's character because he's someone who's been behind that wheel. He knows what goes into it, and when he's training these kids, he's trying to stress with Orlando Bloom, he's trying to stress with these kids that he has to train. It's like, playing the video game and actually racing the car are two very different beasts. It's like, yeah, in a game, you screw up and you crash, you just restart the game. In real life, if you screw up and you crash, you're a dead man. And just explain like how you need to be physically equipped to handle the car, to go at that speed, to be able to make the turns and make the cuts that you need to make. Again, it's something that gives you a little bit more of an appreciation for the athletes that go into race car driving. It's like, yeah, it's not just a matter of just being a good driver. You need to be able to handle being in an absolute death machine that are these race cars. And yeah, the racing scenes themselves, they were awesome. Granted, I saw this movie in IMAX 4D, so when the cars are revving, the engines are revving, you feel your seat vibrating, and when people are going at a big, fast, supersonic level speed, you kind of feel the gust in your face a little bit, and that was cool. So granted, as a result of that, maybe it enhanced the movie experience a little bit more for me than it would for someone who just saw the movie regularly. But having said that, I still think if you saw the movie in just regular digital, it would still be enjoyable. And undeniably, I will say this, the movie has heart, the movie makes you care about the characters. The movie does, however, I think, dial a little bit more back in really the emotional side of it when it really could have shown more. The big emotional point for the movie, I would say, is the focus on Jen Marmo's relationship with his father. You know, his father's not very supportive of what he's doing, doesn't really believe in what he's doing. You know, it's really meant to be kind of, from the emotional side, a father-son story about, you know, how, you know, his father's learning to understand his son and what he loves to do. But as a result of that, for me anyways, it made me feel like a little bit more of the family got left behind. Like, you know, I don't think it really touched more on the relationship between Jen and his mother and his older brother. And I don't know, I would have liked to see more of the dynamic between them. There were just times I think the movie focused too much, a little too much anyway, on the training, on the business side of it. Why, you know, he has to become good at being a race car driver, how he has to handle the media. I get why they had to show it. I mean, it wants people to stress, like, this is why it's such a tough transition to go from playing a game in your chair to getting behind the wheel of a race car and representing a company. But it's like, you look at all the great sports movies out there, they all had so much heart. They all hit you where you live. They all made you care, not just about the character, but the relationships the character had with others. I would say there's one storyline in this movie that I really think they kind of rushed a little bit, that I think should have been explored upon more. It would have really given an emotional edge. There's a moment that goes on with Jen as he's racing. Something really bad happens, not just to him, but to really the company, to people that are just observing the event. I'm trying to be vague with it, but really it's like they touch on that, and really you would think something that would traumatize him and really refrain him from racing, and for a moment you feel like it does. But then as really time goes on, you feel like he has a conversation with David Harbour's character, and then he's kind of just over it, ready to move past it. Like, I don't know, I think I would have appreciated, like, taking a chunk of the movie and just showing how he came back from what happened to him, why he was able to overcome what he went through. It's like, you know, everyone loves an underdog story, and granted, this is already an underdog story, but really make it feel like the kid is going through absolute hell to do what he wants to do. Like, really stress what he had to overcome, and if you could really show more of that journey, I think even more so you'd fall in love with the character. But I will say, every sports movie needs a good finale, and this one has a really strong finale. The race is awesome. The way the race works is great. It's like a 24-hour race that they have to go through, and it's insane. Like, the emotion brings home. The race is great. The way they're able to handle it is impressive. If you're gonna make a solid sports biopic, you need to have a good finale. This movie did that. So all in all, I will say Gran Turismo, it's a solid sports biopic. The cast across the board works really well. Jan Mardenborough in the leading role does a really good job. I'd like to see him in more stuff. The actual racing scenes are awesome. They're very well shot. They're very intense. I will say, seeing it in the conditions I saw definitely enhanced the experience, but I don't think they're necessary to enjoy the experience. It did have heart. It could have had a lot more. It has an area of a storyline that I think it should have explored a lot more on. But in the end, this is a true story that I had no idea of beforehand, and I'm glad I know about it now. And in a way, maybe this could inspire more of the audience that it's targeting to get into race car driving. As a fan, as a profession, either way, could be good for the sport. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video, and as always, don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.